You ever have that game from your childhood that you finally convince yourself to go back to? Maybe you didn't beat it as a kid, you lost it, or whatever the case may be? Well, for me, that game is none other than
Sonic Rush!
Son of a bitch, he stole my line. I played through this game not too long ago and really enjoyed it. Then I played through it again for a multi-world randomizer. Long story. And now I'm here to play a 100% playthrough of it to give this game the time of the day it deserves. That's right, we're getting all 7 Chaos Emeralds, all 7 Soul Emeralds, a kiss on the cheek for good luck. So let's get into it. I'll be going through my playthrough of this game and break it down zone by zone to show you just how special this game truly is. And so we start things off with Sonic games are known for their strong starts, ever since Sonic 1 on the Genesis gaslighting you into thinking the game wouldn't have you smashing controllers with Green Hill Zone. But even with that standard, Leaf Storm knocks things out of the park with everything you could ask for from this game. All in a package without hill in the name, and more greenery than you'd even typically expect from a first Sonic act. I know people rag on the overuse of Green Hill a lot, but truthfully, Sonic Rush's Leaf Storm is a nice change of pace while still fitting the bill of a good opening act. Right off the bat, you've got the boost gauge, and I think this game probably has the best use of boost in a 2D Sonic game. Typically in Sonic games, to fill up the boost meter, you've got to do some combination of grabbing rings and busting bots, but in Sonic Rush, rings don't do anything for your boost. So, how do you get the extra boost meter when no enemies are around?
Yes! Alright! Cool! Okay!
That's right, just spam the B button after a spring or some similar launcher, and Sonic will twiddle around in the air and earn you some extra meter. And this is probably the smartest thing Rush could do. Alongside this, when in the air, if you press R, you'll launch yourself in a direction. This system really allows you to keep up speed and boost throughout a whole level and gives Sonic Rush its own unique system that couldn't be done in a classic Sonic game. Of course, while running through Leaf Storm, we run into... what is that, some kind of fucked up thingamajig? Whatever it is, grab onto it, spin around a bit with a boost, and surprise motherfucker, you're on a half pipe now. And dare I say it's the best half pipe a Sonic game has given us? That's right, 3D Blast, you're on thin fucking ice. You control Sonic with the touchscreen, which allows for a lot better and more precise control than the original Sonic 2's half pipe ever did. It's a bit easy, sure, but I'd take an easy Sonic special stage over Hell in a Ball, or our special tonight, Cooperative Vertigo, with a side of Please Leave. These special stages are locked to each zone, so you only need to beat it once per zone, and you get a lot of attempts. As long as you can find enough boost by the time you find one of these whirligigs, you can give it a shot. It makes 100%ing this game not actually take too long. The special stages are genuinely awesome. Fast-paced, you have a lot of control, and there's even little minigames where you gotta tap the circles in the right order. Wait, this is just fucking Osu. This also plays one of the best songs in the entire game. Look, we gotta talk about the music. Led by Hideki Naganuma, Sonic Rush dares to ask, what if we combine Peak with absolute fucking cinema and put it on a soundtrack? Known for his work on Jet Set Radio, this soundtrack mixes amazing sample work with amazing bass lines and melodies to make some of the best video game music ever made. Of course, you can't hear it a lot of times because of all the... you know.
Alright!
But when you get a second to listen to it, this game's soundtrack is unparalleled at its high points. I'll try to point out specific songs when I can, but overall there's an amazing reason why this game's music has been used in a lot of videos, and why it's a damn shame Hideki hasn't returned for a Sonic game since. Anywho, a few hundred rings later, and we're out with our first Chaos Emerald, and back to speed platforming bliss through 2 acts until we stop at... oh, the boss fights. Yeah... this is still a Sonic game, and quite frankly, I don't know any 2D Sonic games that have boss fights that have people begging for more. Like, oh hell yeah bro, more Lava Reef! This one's a little annoying. You just wait for the snake boss to take its head and ram it into the ground like me to my desk after a full day of editing. It's also got this rolling attack, which you can get down with some consistency, but for my first 2 playthroughs, it consisted of me dying and going, fuck this attack. In this 3rd playthrough, I actually managed to get by pretty quickly, and I had to go back to actually grab this specific footage by specifically going out of my way to specifically die to this specific attack. I think overall this is a fine boss fight, but the fact the first boss can one-shot you is a bit scummy in my eyes, especially because this game implemented another way to make these fights harder. It's typically true in Sonic games that if you have one ring, you're fine. You can get hit as many times as you want. But in Rush, if you get hit multiple times without collecting more rings, your rings will fly out farther and farther each time. And I really like this. It keeps Sonic's typical ring health system while adding a layer of stakes to each hit. It makes it so this insta-death bullshit isn't really necessary, but hey, what are you gonna do? Anyways, Sonic busts up Eggman and runs into his new rival, Blaze, who takes the gem drop by the evil doctor and promptly fucks off. You then unlock her campaign, which we'll be doing after Sonic's. After that, we talk to Tails, and then we make our way to... wow, Sega. Bold move making the water level the second zone. Wait. Wait, no, they do that a lot. My fault. Water Palace blesses us with probably the most iconic song in all of Sonic Rush, and a decent water level to go alongside it. It's got the whole aquatic ruins thing going on. Keep up your speed and go on the top route, and you won't have to deal with water too much. Yeah, there's still some segments. But honestly, here, the boost lends to the design of these really well. Sure, there's some iffy platforming and nerve-wracking moments, but in the first act, you're never too long underwater for you to register the danger you're currently in. As you can see here, it's kinda timed perfectly. Alongside this, we get our second special stage, which adds these little flying egg pawns. They're a bit finicky, but you gotta tap on them to homing attack them. I know I'm playing on unofficial hardware, we'll call it, but even playing this on my 3DS earlier this year, I noticed how awkward it can be to tap on them. They give you some rings if you do, but thankfully it's never really necessary to chain together hits on them, so that's fine. Act 2 also introduces us to this game's greatest red flag. You see, are you ever on a date with someone and then this happens? Yeah, no, this is really awesome. Hey, I know a good question. What's your favorite aspect of level design? I don't know. Bottomless pits, maybe? If you ever played the Sonic Advance games, you know Dimps, the creator of a lot of the handheld Sonic games of this era, love their bottomless pits. They can't get enough of them. You fuck up one eensy-teensy little jump and boom, you're dead. Oh shit. Okay, yeah. Bottomless pit. I forgot this level introduced those. It's not too bad in Water Palace. I was able to get by with only one death, but it's something that'll pop back up in every zone this game has to offer. Most of the time in this stage, it's underwater, which, while still annoying, at least being underwater allows you more airtime in your jumps, leaving the moments typically being more under control. Not with this above ground part with the wobbly platforms though. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Overall, this zone is pretty good. It's still relatively fast on the first playthrough, and on a second or third, you'll be speeding by. You've got these rails to trick on to get more boost, enemies to smash through, and these silly little water wheels. It's a fun time. It's probably my favorite water stage Sonic has ever had. Wow, what an honor. It's like being the least corrupt politician. Anyways, we're on to the next boss, and Sonic runs into this guy. Look, guys, I know you're expecting some joke on this character's name, but quite frankly, I think the joke's overdone. His name isn't that hard to say without it sounding like a naughty word. Look, it's all about the E, see? See, it's Eggman—
It's the black creatures! Time to have a little fun!
Sonic, what do you mean by that? Anyways, we fight the turtle mech next. Or is it based on the Loch Ness Monster? Give me a second. Oh, okay, it's a turtle. Well, I'll be damned. Whatever it is, it's equally as pathetic as the last boss. It's the same as a lot of underwater Sonic bosses where the only way to get air is to hit it. And thankfully, it slams its head into the ground just like its predecessor, so it's fairly simple to learn when to hit it. It has this belly flop attack which can be a little unintuitive to avoid, and this head extension attack can be a bit of a bitch to thread the needle on, but overall, it's not too hard. Bop him 8 times and you'll be on your way out of Water Palace as Eggman Neo flies off into the sunset. He looks like a fucking Smash Bros. Alt recolor. Anyways, we talked to Tails and he says that the space-time continuum is fucked up and that Eggman with his new disguise could be behind it. But before we can figure out what's really going on here, we gotta head over to this level is unfortunately the poster child for what this game does wrong. I feel like most of you who have played this game understand what I mean when I say that. But before we get into the negatives, let's talk about what I like from this stage. For instance, I really fuck with the aesthetic of this place. Sure, it's nothing new for a Sonic game to reference a desert or a pyramid like this, but it's still visually nice and very distinct from the past 2 levels. Most of this level has a really nice flow to it from going inside the pyramid and back out. It can honestly feel like you're dashing from room to room, making brief exits out just to smell the fresh air. This zone also has the most hidden special stages. Like, as in I actually missed getting the Chaos Emerald in Act 1. While it's not that impressive or anything, I felt like it was a nice change considering the last 2 levels practically force you to run into the doohickey. What else? The special stage was also, in general, pretty good. It had these switches to press that made more rings appear, and I felt like the layouts were actually getting pretty hard with dodging the spikes. Okay, I can't keep doing this. On to the negatives. This stage is infamous for these little fight rooms. Essentially, it says stop your platforming and fight these bots. Once you do, you're free to go. And in theory, I don't mind these. Let me finish. You know, when I was a kid, I really wanted some sort of Sonic fighting game or beat 'em up that wasn't Sonic Battle. I just wanted to see Sonic in some combat-oriented action, and I feel like for my younger self, these rooms were seen as that. They were pretty cool every once in a while, but upon revisit, oh my god, there's so many of them! Throughout both acts, they force you into this little gauntlet, and it wouldn't even be that bad if they didn't also give you these multi-hit enemies that have invincibility frames that last longer than a sentence at Prison Island! My point still stands. And then there's the auto-scrollers, which... Why is there an auto-scroller in my Sonic game? I don't know anybody who likes auto-scrolling levels, nor anyone who will defend them in this context especially. When we've already had a bunch of moments where the game stops you, why do you feel the need to put us on a literal conveyor belt and chuck rocks and egg pawns at us? This is even worse in the second act. While there's a lot less randomly getting stopped by combat rooms, the auto-scroller makes up for that and is the last segment of the level. It's also in 3D now, to show you how much they care. I don't really enjoy being super negative most times. I enjoy yapping about the silly things that make my brain go yahoo, but this is just one of those Sonic levels that's kinda shitty. It does away with the bottomless pits for the most part, but as a sacrifice you get a fucking stop sign every 5 feet. Wrap it all together with probably the worst song of the OST so far, and it isn't awful per se, and I think it does a lot right for a Sonic level. I just can't ignore the basic and obvious downside this level has. Genuinely, outside of that, this is up there with the other two zones we've discussed. Oh, right, there's also the boss battle. Fitting with the Egyptian theming of the level, we get the Egg Scarab, which for the longest time I thought it was just a dung beetle. It's a fine boss fight. Eggman 2 over here will throw this ball and you gotta knock it back into him, but watch out because it can also transform into a spiked version. It can feel a little bullshit when you jump into it and it swaps over right as you jump, but as long as you wait for it, you'll get the timing down pretty quickly. Which you'll be used to waiting in this fight because god damn does it like to waste your time. It does this rolling motion? I'd call it an attack, but it really doesn't feel like one. It only goes on for a couple of seconds at a time, but when it does this between each and every other attack, the boss really starts to feel like it's dragging on. Man, this beetle boss really is just a lot of waiting, huh? You just kind of wait for him to throw the ball. It's like playing catch with my father, except he's actually here this time. There's also this attack where it goes up high and rains down balls on you. No, I will not rephrase that. You know, for a moment I thought this attack might actually be pretty dynamic and force you to think about your movements. And then I charged a spin dash and outsped where the boss can even aim to. You know the drill, 8 hits and we send Eggman Deluxe out of town and get on to our next zone. Before that, we stop by Cream's house and we meet a totally normal Sonic character who I will continue to stay extremely respectful to. Maybe. Vanilla tells us that Cream has been hanging around a cat named Blaze, and Sonic is still concerned as to who that is from the 0.5 seconds they saw each other, and takes off to our next zone in... This zone always is the first one to pop in my head whenever I think of Sonic Rush. I don't know why, it just is. You've got light bridges, timed platforms, timed rails, trapeze balls, these 3D screw-looking things, loaded springs. It's a lot designed for just one level. But quite frankly, that's what this level does right. Atmosphere. Carnival and casino zones aren't exactly new to Sonic. For Christ's sakes, I think the guy might have a worse gambling addiction than me. But this one has so much made just for it that I can't help but love it aesthetically. And a lot of these little gimmicks serve to keep up the pace of the platforming. Sure, the light bridges and springs can be a little bit slow, but they never drag on too long. It leaves you truly feeling like you're the one on stage at whatever wacky carnival this is. This level also has some really interesting special stage launcher placements. I know that sounds dumb, but hear me out. There's 2 at the start of the level, but if you use up your boost at the very beginning, you won't have enough to use either of them. It's kinda neat and forces you to actually look around more. I ended up having to find one in Act 2 and first tried it like the absolute gaming legend I am. This level also marks the return of bottomless pits. Oh joy. And they're placed even more cruelly and sporadically here. I don't know what Dimps' obsession with these is, but if I had to guess, it would be trying to give platforming more stakes. It feels like they're a replacement for those old beds of spikes or lava you'd see in a classic Sonic game. The problem is, they're just too punishing. Those worked because they could kill you, but were mostly just a huge loss in speed. This feels like the game being an asshole because I held forward at the wrong time. I managed to get by pretty unscathed, but that's mostly because this is my 3rd playthrough this year. For someone coming into this game, it can be incredibly frustrating just being thrown off again and again. In return though, you've got probably the best boss battle this game has to offer. It's honestly pretty dynamic, and it managed to kill me once in this playthrough. You've got to smack this ball on the little seesaw in order to lower the other contraption, then jump into that to score a hit. 2 main things can make this tricky. Number 1, the ball contraption becomes electrified and can rain down little lightning strikes. It's like a good version of the Mirage Road fight in that aspect. The other thing is that whenever you hit the main side of the seesaw, it drops this little beetle-looking guy. It's hard to position right, and you can't just spin dash into him, but if you jump into him just right, you get launched into the air and can land on Eggman U. This is one of 2 boss fights in this game I'd consider unironically great. Actually, maybe 1 and 3, we'll get to it. Overall, it's a nice looking, relatively quick zone with some annoying platforming, but it's a great showcase of what a harder zone in this game can be. Story-wise after this, the gang meets up with Knuckles. He blames the cat girl in his shitty mood, and Sonic chases after her because, I don't know, what else is he gonna do today? This leads us to our next zone in... Oh, please. Huge Crisis isn't a name for a zone. It's a descriptor for day-to-day life. Get a handle on yourself. This zone keeps with the consistent theme of this game. That theme being baller as fuck level aesthetics. You're running through a fleet of Eggman-themed ships, going through their inner workings, launching from ship to ship, and overall just having a nice time until you realize, oh shit, they brought back the fight rooms. This level actually sucks. I kid. The fight rooms are actually a lot less obnoxiously placed in this level, and contain a bit more of a threat, as this game decides to combine both of its red flags and combine the combat rooms with bottomless pits. How joyous. Add in that this level includes Dimps also relapsing into enjoying insta-kill crushing hazards, and you'd think I'd be a lot harsher on this level. Like, seriously, almost every part of this level has something that's trying to make pancakes out of you, or drop you off of the boat into the abyss, but I think it actually works. This is the 3rd to last zone if you've been keeping track. It's about time difficulty stepped up, and I'm okay with a lot of this. Sure, I still think insta-killing the player is a tad too harsh a lot of the time, but even then, this level is just so cool. Maybe that's why I'm so forgiving with this level? It's a badass conquest from fleet ship to fleet ship. Also, the special stage I got was back on the main path, which confused me. The past 2 levels got me to expect them to be more hidden, but whatever, I'll take it. Especially because it's turning up the dial when it comes to challenge, meaning I lost this one once. It introduced these flying egg pawns that take multiple hits, and the spike patterns got more and more tight. This is actually the perfect difficulty for a Sonic special stage this close to the end. It may seem like I don't have a lot to say. I mean, what? I could talk about my lifelong dream to hang on a shipping crane, but I think this is just a plain good late-stage Sonic level. What I will use this time to talk about is the common comment I see people mention when talking about this and other boost formula games. Many people will say the boost formula is better in 3D than 2D, and I don't mean to imply this preference is wrong or anything. I will say, however, I fully disagree with it. While I still enjoy games like Generations and Unleashed, Sonic Rush's boost system feels a lot more fluid to me while not sacrificing what makes the boost cool. I'm not saying 3D boost is bad, but what I am saying is I feel like it's a lot more fulfilling to lock into that flow state in Sonic Rush, and that's what Sonic's always kind of been about. Is this me just having a skill issue because I'm better at 2D games than 3D games? Well, as someone who doesn't have a skill issue would say, shut up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up! It's in character that Sonic would do all these little tricks and moves after performing a leap, and it's fun that they turned that into a gameplay mechanic. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't instantly look down on a boost game because it's in 2D rather than 3D. Anyways, that's enough of a tangent. Overall thoughts, this level is really cool, and the boss is just a carbon copy of Zone 1 with one new attack. Whatever, GG, go next. Fuck, never mind, please take me back to Huge Crisis, please, I'm begging you, I don't want to go to this zone. I think this zone sucks, and it's the epitome of every single reason why people will rag on the Dimps Sonic level design. And it's clear from the moment you touch foot on solid ground. This stage has a few gimmicks. First of all, these rising platforms. If you jump off of them, they go down, but as long as you're standing on them, they're rising. Combine that with the fact that if you do so much as graze a wall, or God forbid get hit by one of the projectiles the enemies here can fire, then oops, go fuck yourself, you're dead. Let's take a look at this scenario. Right now I'm having to rise into a bunch of these flying egg pawns. Not only is there a space where the DS's screen gap would be, meaning I have a blind spot, but they can also shoot projectiles. If they were to move or shoot at any point and that collides with me, I'm fucked. And that can happen very, very often. Technically speaking, this level doesn't have any bottomless pits. But it has this laser under every fucking platform moment that pretty much acts the same. As such, I'll be referring to it as a bottomless pit because it's the same fucking thing. I also want to mention that someone overheard me earlier saying that the special stages weren't that hard, as these last 2 are fucking trials of mastery over here. I ended up beating this one on like my 3rd try, but I ended up tanking a death just to reset my boost meter. There's also this paraglider segment in both acts, and God tell me why Dimps thought this was okay.
I don't know. Leave me out of this.
Oh, okay, well, that's a good answer. At its best, it's a boring auto-scroller, and at its worst, it's a poor controlling mess that steals all your rings because you're in the air, and you can't get your rings back in the air. Act 2 starts us off in this rail, and don't you dare think you're in for some high-speed action, because if you think we are, you better be damn perfect in avoiding these spikes. They're littered all damn over the place, to the point where I just take this as slowly as possible. It even has one of these balloons give you boost, almost as if tempting you to fuck around and find out. If Huge Crisis was a hard level in Sonic done right, this is a hard level in Sonic done absolutely abysmally. Again, this is my third time this year playing this game, and I'm still fucking up and dying due to the most small and insignificant missteps. Huge Crisis worked because, while it was a harder level, you had opportunities to speed up or just play the level at whatever pace you were comfortable with. I don't think any amount of comfort could help you overcome the absolute slog this stage puts you through. Rising platforms, falling platform spikes, and enemies on those rising platforms, rails that if you don't stop tricking off them instantly, you fucking die, and all of this over a constant death plane. I know this is the second to last zone of the game, but quite frankly, I think this is completely unfair to the player and goes against every single good level design aspect the rest of the game has built up. I can enjoy a hard level in a video game every once in a while. Challenge isn't an issue when it's well managed. This just feels excessive and like it's trying to make up for a difficulty curve that quite frankly isn't right alongside it. It's stressful, unfun, and a culmination of every single little fucked up aspect this game has to offer. The only positives I can say is that there's no fight rooms, but I take that over this hell torture bullshit Dimp snuck into their Sonic game. The boss is also fine enough. I like that you can counter hit more than one of its attacks, but all in all, fuck this zone. Get me the hell out of here. For being the last zone of the game, Deadline isn't actually all that challenging. Sure, it took a couple lives off of me, but for the most part, I plowed straight through the majority of this level, which, after the great dick twisting and altitude limit, yeah, I'll take that. It's also got some pretty good little gimmicks here and there that act to enhance Sonic's speed. You've got cannons to launch yourself out of, these 3D wall running segments, and rockets to fly behind and control. And not even to mention the fact that the Eggmen decided in Act 2 for some reason to install a fucking bouncy house in the space colony. And again, I can say without a doubt, Sonic Rush's best aspect returns in its aesthetics. One of the best songs in the entire game playing while you're breaking your way into and through Eggman and Eggman Rush Adventure's great big space base. While this setting isn't super unique for a Sonic game, they've all gotta have some sort of Eggman base to smash through, the color palette and visuals on this one make it an absolute treat the entire way through. Now, I know I said this level isn't actually that hard, and I stand by that because they put all the difficulty in the special stage. I reset on this constantly until I lost count. It's really difficult, and I can't tell how much of that is due to my means of playing it, or if the game itself just doesn't lend to this level of speed and precision with a touchscreen. I don't know. I'd be more mad at the special stage, but I can't help but feel like it's a little heartwarming that little Timmy got to help his dad design the special stage for the upcoming Sonic game. The boss fight this time around is actually a rival battle versus Blaze, and this is what I was talking about in Night Carnival with being one of 3 amazing boss fights this game has. In Blaze's story, it's a fight versus Sonic, and in Sonic's story, it's a fight versus Blaze. It's all really cool. This is exactly what you'd expect turning the Sonic Rush gameplay into a combat-oriented game style. It's really cool and not super obvious when your windows to attack are. It's probably the best boss in the game. They both have a homing attack, spin dash, jump attack, and they also have their own unique attacks during this as well. For the less traditional zone, I gotta say, Deadline leaves a bunch of things off on a very high note. Have a nice fall, stupid bitch. And this now leads us to the endgame. Well, I say endgame. That's more so for you guys. I still have a whole nother playthrough of this game to do, because you gotta play through as both Sonic and Blaze to get the final boss. And I feel like a lot of people would claim this is lazy and reusing assets, but I actually fully disagree. Well, I mostly fully disagree. Does that make sense to you? The main thing I see people talking about with Sonic's difficulty nowadays comes from speed and the lack of it on a first playthrough. And that's why I don't hate this Blaze playthrough. I feel like it's a good chance to finally, you know, go through these levels fast. You're warmed up and you got a character who's more well equipped to deal with these levels. Blaze has a hover, which is really useful for these tricky platform segments, but you know what it sacrifices? Speed. You sacrifice your air dash for a hover. This does make Blaze's segments easier traditionally, but if you're trying to go fast like you would in a Sonic game, it actually ends up slowing you down a bit where you wish you'd have the air dash. And I think this was just intentional, since Blaze gets the soul emeralds at the end of a zone and doesn't have to do any special stages. It's not just a good difficulty option. It's not just an option for girls who want to feel attached to the main character in a Sonic game. It's just a good option for the game. A lot of the fun from recording this playthrough has been just the fact I know these levels so well and that I can speed through them, and this is giving everyone a chance to really do that and show their stuff. And there's even new remixes for everyone to just go through. They're not as good as the original songs, sure, but they're fine, they're good, they work, and it's nice to just hear more music from this game. There's also just a nice little heartwarming story of Blaze meeting Cream and learning that the people of this world just want to help her, want to be her friend. It's really nice for a Sonic game of this era to have a small little story like this. But that story probably isn't what you're here for, so let's cut the chit chat and start talking about the final bosses. This first one is actually really nice. It's a good change of pace. It's a little bullshit, sure, but all of the bosses in this game are. Outside of its one-shot attacks, which we already know how I feel about, I feel like it's the best use of the Sonic Rush gameplay in an actual boss. And that's mostly just because it has us do a tiny bit of platforming. It's small, sure, but I actually really like it. And our final episode is a climactic battle through space with Blaze in her burning form through the Soul Emeralds and Sonic using the Chaos Emeralds to go super. Even though it does suck not being able to use Super Sonic in a traditional level, this is a really nice reward. Burning Blaze's design is also just a really cool additional form to add to the series. I don't know, maybe it's the Dragon Ball fan talking in me, but I always kind of wish Sonic had more transformations like this. Or at least some confirmation of what the fuck is going on with Hyperform in the canon. We save the day, sending off the two Eggmen, and Sonic and Blaze get a little heart-to-heart on how they might not see each other again. They do. It seems like Blaze can just vacation in this dimension whenever she wants to at this point. Not to mention she'd be reintroduced in Sonic 06, which... Sega, why'd you have to do that to her? But it gives a really nice sense of closure, while also leaving the door open in case this game was successful enough to get a sequel, which it did. It's a phenomenal ending to a style of Sonic game we might honestly never get again. Sega at this point sees 2D Sonic as a classic Sonic thing and 3D as a modern thing, which I can't blame them for. They work best in those scenarios. But if Sonic Rush 3D and Sonic Rush Rerun have taught us anything, the Sonic community loves Sonic Rush. It's why I would love to see a remake of this game, or another sequel. I know there's one, or maybe two, but still, it's a charming game, and we might not get one like this again. Ever. Sonic Rush is almost perfect, but it doesn't need to be. Would I change some aspects about the game? Sure, obviously, but I could say that about any game. I just hope as the days go on and we start to see more of a separation between modern and 2D, that this game doesn't get forgotten. Hey, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. You know the whole YouTuber stuff. If you like the video, like and subscribe, all that. It helps out the channel. Especially on a video like this, which is such a departure from my normal stuff. This would actually help a lot if you could help out the video. I also want to thank the channel members, Loco Soco, Luminosity, and Linksicle. You guys are the best and allow me to keep doing this. Lastly, before I go, let me know if you want to see a video on Sonic Rush Adventure. It actually looks really cool, but I haven't beaten it yet.